Welcome to Mystery in Minutes. Today we're opening the infernal gates to the 2020 film Hellhole. Spoilers ahead, and viewer discretion is advised. In 1957, Poland, the movie opens with a car arriving at a church in the dead of night. A priest who is the driver carries a baby hurriedly into the church with the intention of murdering it. The baby bears a unique scar on its chest, referred to as the spawn of evil. However, before the priest can proceed, the militia, a military force composed of ordinary citizens, arrive and shoot him. The distressed baby is then comforted by the militia as the scene is juxtaposed to an eclipsed moon with red hues. 30 years later, we see the protagonist, Father Merrick, dressed in priestly robes with dark hair and a defining nose. He is headed to a secluded church that serves as a sanatorium where women believed to be possessed by the devil are brought for exorcism. Upon arrival, Father Merrick meets and introduces himself to Prior Andres, who welcomes him into the eerie atmosphere of the sanatorium grounds. As Father Merrick tries to make sense of the place, Prior Andres walks with him and introduces him to Brother Dawid. Brother Dawid offers him a rosary, which he politely declines because he brought his own. Prior Andres requests that Father Merrick allows his bag to be searched, as it is standard procedure for all visitors and newcomers to protect the harmony of the sanatorium. Father Merrick complies and asks if they receive many visitors. Prior Andres responds that December is visiting time, but few people come to see those in suffering. During the search, Brother Dawid finds Father Merrick's pack of cigarettes, which Prior Andres confiscates. After the search, Prior Andres leaves Father Merrick to his room and warns him not to leave his room after dark, as the devil is present in the sanatorium. He also welcomes him as a calling before shutting the door and leaving. Father Merrick undresses, revealing a mark on his chest similar to the baby's. He unpacks and unzips a concealed compartment that contains a pistol, flashlight, and other items not allowed on the property, as well as a newspaper clipping about a missing woman. The next scene shows all the priests gathered at a dinner table lit with candles, with Prior Andres leading the grace. Father Merrick struggles to eat the unappetizing food before him. Later, he walks down the corridors and reaches a room where another priest is asking a disheveled woman to eat and takes notice of him. Back in his room, Father Merrick takes a bath where strange occurrences begin to happen, such as the cross on the wall above his bed being violently disturbed on its own. Prior Andres is among the other priests standing in a row holding lit candles. The woman who was seen earlier is also present, and Prior Andres caresses her face. He approaches Father Merrick and speaks to him about the connection between Jesus' betrayal and denial and the timing of exorcisms, leading to them witnessing the woman's apparent exorcism. Prior Andres then informs Father Merrick that everything is recorded, and we see another priest with a camcorder preparing to film the exorcism. The woman is tied to the bed, and the door is shut. Prior Andres assures her of their help. He begins the exorcism with the sign of the cross, reciting prayers in Latin while sprinkling holy water on her. As he continues with the prayers, the possessed woman violently reacts and thrashes around, causing the bed to shake, the cross in the prior's hand to catch fire, and a strange wind to blow. Father Merrick looks on in terror. After the exorcism, he is seen in his room, lost in thought, touching the mirror in his bathroom, which cracks. The unnerving event of the exorcism leaves Father Merrick visibly disturbed, and the cracking of the mirror serves as a physical manifestation of his inner turmoil. As Father Merrick walks out, he notices an open cupboard door and closes it. He then leaves to investigate further, but before he can enter Prior Andres' office, he is stopped by Brother Dawid and retreats. Back in the dining hall, Brother Dawid whispers something to another priest under the instructions of Prior Andres. Although visibly uncomfortable, the priest proceeds to eat his dinner, which Father Merrick takes note of. Later on, Father Merrick is seen throwing up in his toilet. His tooth has come loose, and upon removing it, it breaks open to reveal a live fly that startles him. He then removes his rosary and keys from the cross on it and proceeds his investigation by breaking into the prior's room using his flashlight. He then goes through the cupboards in the dead of night. He reaches a suspiciously large closet in the room and finds videotapes inside. Playing one on the TV reveals the exorcism. Father Merrick walks to the place of exorcism to probe the happenings that occurred there. He stumbles upon an opening and realizes that there is a hidden door on the floor beneath it. However, upon hearing footsteps outside, he hides out of sight. While hiding, he notices a lever behind a curtain that, when pulled, reveals an operable fan. He then sees the trick cross from before that can be ignited with light, and it dawns on him that all the effects of the exorcism were staged. The following day, Father Marek attends Mass conducted by Prior Andres. He removes his robe's hood and begins the prayer of penance, but is interrupted by Prior Andres, who asks him to continue in Latin. Father Marek falters, and Brother Piotr comes to his aid, prompting a stern look from Prior Andres. The prior then asks Father Marek to return to his place and instructs Brother Piotr to continue. After the prayers, Father Marek joins the other priests for a meal. However, he struggles to eat the unappetizing food and feels sick. In his room, he experiences more strange phenomena and decides to leave, burning the newspaper article and keeping his gun with him. While walking in the sanatorium, he witnesses the priest burying a casket in the church graveyard, presumably for the girl who used to stay in the now empty room that shows remnants of blood. Brother Piotr approaches him stealthily and invites him to meet in the confessional. In the confessional, Brother Piotr reveals that the church is keeping an eye on both of them and warns Father Marek to be cautious because those who disobey are severely punished, saying that the place is not a traditional monastery. Marek discloses that he is part of the militia, investigating missing local women, and is undercover as a priest because of the fatal encounter of a priest by the militia years ago. He confides in Piotr that he knows the exorcisms are fake, who in turn reveals that Prior Andres stages them to deceive the Curia and Vatican. In his room, Marek conducts a search for any surveillance devices and puts his hand in an icky gap behind the closet to come across a strange object made of bone and an eyeball. He begins to feel sick and throws up a dark liquid swarming with flies. After disposing of the object, he sits on his bed, attempting to comprehend the disturbing events. Under the cover of night, Marek sneaks into the sanatorium's graveyard to exhume the exorcised woman's coffin, but he discovers that it's empty. Just as he's about to leave, Brother Dawid captures him by putting a bag over his head, knocking him out in the process. Marek regains consciousness to find himself tied up on the bed, struggling to escape while Brother Dawid and Prior Andres are present. Prior Andres expresses disappointment in their partnership and says grace before forcing Marek to consume multiple portions of cooked meat against his will. Marek loses consciousness shortly after consuming the meat. When he awakes, he's still tied up, but he manages to free himself while Brother Dawid is sleeping, but he gets caught. In the ensuing altercation, Marek puts a pillow over Brother Dawid's face and fatally shoots him. Marek goes into the kitchen where he discovers human flesh and the missing women's bodies hanging on hooks in the freezer. He realizes that he was being fed their organs. Piotr finds Marek frightened and wanting to leave, but he persuades him to go to the library. In the library, Piotr reads from a book and explains that the priests consider Marek to be the chosen one through a ritual that involves consuming the flesh of 7 sinners and the blood of an innocent. They were eager to transform Marek into a demon, bringing about a new era of world order. He shares that the former priest attempted to kill Marek as a baby but failed. Currently, the priests are working to complete the ritual and bring about his destiny. Piotr warns Marek that the zealous priest will go to any length and their lives are in danger. He reveals his scars from the priest and suggests that they escape through an underground passage. Piotr then leads Marek through a rat-infested tunnel and betrays him, handing him over to the other priests. They overpowered Marek and he wakes up restrained and gagged. The prior explains that the anonymous tip was a trap to lure Marek to the sanatorium. He believes that humans are evil and should be punished by the devil, who once ruled alongside God. For centuries, the Brotherhood has awaited the Chosen One's birth, and the church was built around a well that serves as a portal to hell. The ritual involves the consumption of blood of an innocent to complete the transformation of the Chosen One into the Evil One, who would then rule the new world with the priests as the devil's servants. The priests bring in a young woman, slit her throat, and drink her blood. The prior, too, drinks from the blood and forces Marek to do the same, spreading his hands and praying with the other priests to summon the devil. However, nothing happens, and Marek laughs. They check for mistakes, but the ritual remains incomplete. Brother Pyotr instructs the other priests to return to their rooms to reflect on what went wrong. To conceal their crimes, Pyotr stabs Marek and orders his body be disposed of in the well. The remaining priests are sent to their rooms while the prior retires to his quarters. Unbeknownst to anyone, the cross in the prior's room becomes inverted. Meanwhile, the prior becomes heavily intoxicated after donning his rosary with a large cross and playing music. Pyotr discovers him lying on the floor and offers to assist him to bed. As he begins to lose consciousness, Pyotr smothers him to death with his pillow. Upon discovering the dead prior, they question Pyotr, who lies about finding him in that state. Pyotr pretends to mourn, expressing regret for not being able to save him. The senior priest consoles him and anoints him the leader. We see Prior Andrei's lifeless body with his eyes wide open. Marek awakens at the bottom of the well, surrounded by bones, and convulses in agony. He struggles to stand up, wheezing and shaking uncontrollably, until his face melts off to reveal a barely covered skull. The next morning, Pyotr takes control of the sanatorium and leads a prayer service for the prior. Suddenly, Pyotr freezes up, drops the holy book, and levitates into the crucifixion pose, before dissolving into a large cloud of flies and his robe falls to the ground. The other priests are horrified to see a transformed and now demonic Marek behind the altar. He freezes them when they try to flee, and suspends them upside down in the crucifixion pose. Outside, dead flowers and trees begin to bloom again, signifying the return of the dead and eventually demise of the living. A large crack forms inside the church, extending to the suspended priests. The portal to hell opens up and thunder rumbles as the sky splits open, indicating the beginning of a new global order and the transformation of Earth into hell. Ready for more heart-pumping videos like this one? Drop your comments and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more.